Do you remember the case of Osinachi Nwachukwu? It's back in the news, and this time her husband Peter has officially been sentenced to death. If you haven't heard about this heartbreaking story before, don't worry, I'll tell you everything you need to know. Osinachi Nwachukwu was a celebrated Nigerian gospel singer, best known for her hauntingly beautiful voice on songs like Ekweme. She was a twin, a mother of 4, and a devoted Christian. She ministered regularly at Dunamis International Gospel Center in Abuja under Pastor Paul Eneche. To the public, she looked like the perfect example of a blessed, God-fearing woman, successful, married, raising her children. But behind closed doors, Osinachi was living through a nightmare. On the 8th of April 2022, at just 42 years old, she passed away in a hospital in Abuja. At first, the official cause of death was whispered to be throat cancer. But it didn't take long before the truth began to unravel. Her family and close friends and colleagues came forward and revealed that Osinachi was a long-term victim of horrific domestic abuse. And they pointed the finger straight at her husband, Peter Nwachukwu. According to her sister, Osinachi didn't die from cancer. She died from a blood clot in her chest, allegedly caused after Peter kicked her straight in the chest during one of his violent outbursts. And sadly, that wasn't the first time. People around her began speaking up, family, friends, even colleagues in the music industry. They started sharing stories they had kept quiet for years because Osinachi had begged them not to ruin her reputation, her husband's reputation, or her marriage. Turns out Peter wasn't just physically abusive, he controlled every part of Osinachi's life. Financially, she had no freedom. Even though she was the one making the money for the family, from performances, music sales, honorariums from churches, Peter took it all. She didn't even have access to her own bank account. In fact, there are reports that sometimes after she performs at events, Peter will pocket the money and lie to her about what she had been paid. She didn't even know how much she was getting. And if you can believe it, it gets worse. Osinachi had been gifted a car by a church, likely one of the few personal blessings she could call her own. But Peter seized the car from her too. He refused to let her drive it. He kept the car for himself, leaving her to trek long distances or take public transport just to get to church or to her performances. Witnesses said there were times when Peter would drive right past Osinachi and their children after church services, leaving them to walk home while he drove himself in the car. There was even a time that he allegedly pushed her out of the car at night and forced her to find her own way home. She ended up taking a motorcycle and she was robbed on the way. Peter's control wasn't just physical or financial. It was emotional and psychological too. He had complete control of this woman. People close to her said he would constantly insult her, belittle her achievements, humiliate her publicly and privately. A music producer who worked with her, Sonny P., he said he personally witnessed Osinachi get slapped by Peter during a recording session. And when Sonny tried to intervene, Peter's reaction was so aggressive that Sonny warned him, "One day you're going to kill this woman." Osinachi's own mother, Madam Oriako Madu, she testified that Peter isolated Osinachi from her family. When her mother would come visit him, Peter would force her to sleep in hotels instead of allowing her to stay with them. He made sure that Osinachi was completely alone. She felt alone, powerless. She was completely dependent on him for everything. Tragically, the couple's 4 children also suffered under Peter's hand. During investigation, the kids testified that their father physically abused them too. He didn't just hit them, he also brainwashed them. He would sit them down and teach them that beating women was normal. This is normal. Using their mother as an example, he would say, it's normal to beat women. The psychological damage he caused wasn't just to Osinachi, but to their entire family. After her death, Peter was arrested and charged with 23 counts, including culpable homicide, spousal battery, and cruelty to children. 2 of their children even testified in court, and after 3 years of legal battles, on April 28th of this year, justice finally caught up with him. The Federal Capital Territory High Court in Abuja found Peter guilty of killing Osinachi, and he was sentenced to death by hanging, alongside additional prison sentences and fines for the other charges. When news of Peter's sentencing broke, it reignited the national conversation about domestic violence, especially in religious communities. People couldn't believe how long Osinachi had suffered in silence. How many people had seen the signs but felt powerless to intervene. How deeply cultural expectations about marriage and the appearance of being happy had trapped her in a deadly situation. Her story is still shaking people today. Her voice, her ministry, and her memory, they live on. So does the painful reminder that sometimes the one who seems the strongest they're fighting battles that you can't even imagine. And if nothing else, her case forced Nigeria to confront some ugly truths about domestic violence and the urgent need to protect the vulnerable, no matter who or where they are. So what do you think? Do you think justice has been served? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching.